For my virtual library, I decided to label it Literacy for Educators. This project taught me to never judge a genre on one book. I used to stray away from historical fiction and science fiction because I felt they were boring and the plots never made sense. However, this project proved me wrong. It made me realize that every author's writing style is unique and I cannot judge one author based on another. So it definitely helped me open my eyes and definitely open my reading horizon. My favorite books included 10 Timid Ghosts, which is fantasy, A Nun on the Bus, informational, Ender's Game, science fiction, The Cat in the Hat, poetry, and To Kill a Mockingbird, diversity. I love these books because each one, the author gave it his or her all and made it interesting and caught my attention. I always based my science fiction idea from past books I read in K through 8, but Ender's Game I actually read my senior year of high school, and it was amazing. The author's ending was never predictable, and it completely blew my mind. Whenever I tell people about a science fiction book they need to read, I've always said, since senior year, Ender's Game, read it. My least favorite books was Bridge to Terabithia, Of Mice and Men, and House of Scorpion. The reason why these are my least favorite are because they all deal with death. Death is not one of my favorite topics at all. In Bridge to Terabithia, the young girl died when she was trying to go into the magical land. While Mice and Men, in my opinion, it showed that mentally disabled people are aggressive, which I did not like because, as you know, one of the brothers ended up killing a woman while he didn't mean to, and I just felt that it's not okay to write about a sensitive subject like that and have a character do that cruel of an action. And then The House of Scorpion, because another murder book, science fiction book, that dealt with a person, actually rich people, constantly making clones so they could kill later on just so they could have their organs to live longer. I'm not sure if it's because of my religious view, but deaths in books should not be this, I don't know, harsh or just overall not for me. But as I said, The House of Scorpion actually is one of the reasons why I didn't like science fiction. So I'm very grateful that my senior English teacher definitely forced us to read Ender's Game. It made me give it another chance, and I loved it. So just from listing my favorites and least favorites, you could see that I had to give the genre another try. I had to give a different author the opportunity to change my mind, and it definitely occurred. I would use all these books in my library when I become a teacher because every student's different. For example, I even have X-Men comic book because, like Professor said, it is sometimes the gateway for a student in to begin reading, and that's my goal. Every student needs to get there some way, somehow. So I'm not going to stray away from any type of book because I have a negative response to it. I want my students to be getting every opportunity as possible. And that is my Literacy for Educators library.